Near, 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 rip a hole in the sun. Welcome to Cum Paude. Why would you cum soft when you can cum louder? Yeah.
Oh, no, no, welcome to Cum Laude. Cum Paude. You already know who it is. It's your boy, hashtag Ridiculous, hashtag OWBN, original white boy Nick at OTM McDeasy on the IG, league, and chat. I know you follow me. Coming to you from Cum Paude Laude Studios here in Frederick, Maryland, home of the Keys, Quixote included, home of the Ghost Hounds, maybe next year. We got a round two breakdown now. We went through round one, little shot at in the background there to an OG Public Honors College of Fantasy manager, Mike Brush, Mr. Bunch, former manager of the Slunderfield Scrimkins. Back in the good old days, how far we've come. But we must remember our history. Otherwise, we are doomed to repeat it. That's not specifically related to Mike, more just stuff that John's done in the past. But that's not what this is about. This is about our second round breakdown. Man, the second round had some great value plays, top to bottom. So I was going through the picks, thinking about putting this Cum Paude out. I was impressed. I was impressed with the sharpness of our league. I mean, the second round is where you can really start to see, do the managers in this league pay attention? The answer is yes. Yes, they do. Now, what do they pay attention to? You know, like and subscribe. You know, $29.99 a month. You get the ridiculous draft guide, and I do show holes in your guys' draft strategies. Let's break it down with a 201. We got a double Lordy banger here at the 201, 202. And man, he crushed it. He crushed it. I'm sitting and looking at he needed some wide receiver depth, right? And I'm sitting and looking at my rankings. And at this point in the draft, Tet was my number one. Emeka was my number two. I had Luther Burden at 3-4 with Travis Hunter. Matthew Golden at that 4-5, along with Luther Burden or Travis Hunter. And then I had Jaden Higgins, and then Trey Harris. That was kind of the way that mine shook out, right? I mean, clearly I'm demonstrating there is some flexibility here where I kind of rate players in a similar sort of way. Well, Tet's gone. Emeka's gone, way too late, but great value. Hunter's gone. Golden is gone. Harris is gone. Which means somebody I've got ranked as high as the third best wide receiver in the draft, Luther Burden, still on the table. 201, smash that button, baby. A+ pick, A+ draft, tons of value. I have him as a one of my 4 A-rated wide receivers. That's Tet, Emeka, Travis Hunter, and Luther Burden are my my A, solid A's, almost A plus. Okay, Matthew Golden, I had an A minus. Jaden Higgins, I had in there right along with Trey Harris that we've talked about, which is probably a good time to mention. Slam the button with 202, Jay Lordy. Geoffrey. Making it happen with, honestly, two very good wide receivers, but two wide receivers that I think were first round players, right? And I understand the 201. Okay, what's the difference between the 201 and the 114, et cetera, right? And the 202 when you've got the back to backs. Yes, but these are guys that could have been 108, 109. Jeff gets them at the 115 and 116 or the 201, 202. A plus on both of them. One great, I think great wide receivers. I think it's not long before Luther Burden overtakes Rome Odunze. I think Rome Odunze is the type of guy that may thrive upon a change of scenery. I think he has the skill set to do so. But it's just different, change of regime, different guys, all that kind of stuff. And Higgins playing off of Nico, playing off of his running mate, Noel, who we'll get to in a second. Love it. Let's go to the 203 with Tommy, a team that has zero needs, but still seems to make the right picks. He goes running back. I think we've talked about this. My guy was like, all right, let's see. With a 110, give me a tight end. With a 113, give me a wide receiver. With a 203, give me a running back. Probably the most top to bottom talented team in the entire league. The manager says, you know what? Let me add depth at each of the scoring positions. He's a roster magician. It's an A plus. He goes with Cam Scattaboo, who I have as my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th best running back in my rankings, give or take. There's some flex here. He goes to Scattaboo, who seems to be, a lot of coach speak this time of year, right? But seems to maybe have a path forward towards the starting job there, which is impressive. Love the pick. I give it an A. Let's move forward to Caponia, who goes out and gets our boy Jaden Blue, kid out of Texas. The path forward for Jaden Blue toward a massive touch share in the Dallas offense is there. And as we've talked about previously, Caponia goes out and he goes, I need help at running back. I need Travion Henderson. I need Jaden Blue. I've already got Jalen Wright. We don't know what that's going to necessarily turn into. And then he gets one more later on. And so where do I have Blue? I've got a C grade on him. He's in my third tier of running backs, toward the bottom end of the third tier, but he's in my third tier of available running backs. I've got him ahead of Jordan James. I've got him ahead of DJ Giddens. I've got ahead of Ollie Gordon. Got him ahead of Devin Neal and Dylan Sampson. It's an okay pick. Don't love it. Love the upside. Certainly not a bad one. We're going to give it a B. We're going to give it a B. We're going to go to the 205 Fermi here, taking Jack Besh, Texas Christian, Horny Toads. Going to Vegas. Depth chart there becomes a little bit weird in Vegas, especially at the wide receiver position. But he's a talented kid. In fact, I have him higher than most. I've got him at my eighth best wide receiver available. That could be 8 to 11 based on where I've got him kind of ranked. But at the 205, I love it. I mean, the guy's got the opportunity to be wide receiver 2 there. It's a great pick. We're giving Fermi an A at the 205. Drew comes through then with a quarterback, Cam Ward. Drew was rostering Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, and then clearly a number one, Joe Burrow. He decides to go Cam Ward. Cam Ward is without a doubt in a tier by himself. Opportunities there, skill set seems to be there. He's in a tier by himself in terms of quarterbacks. So if the first one goes off the board as Cam Ward, it makes sense to me. Drew's stuck in that Deshaun Watson vortex. So he felt the need to go get someone that's potentially a QB2, right, on his team. Somebody who can fill in if Burrow is injured and the Jameis Winston future with the Giants and stuff we're not sure about. And so I don't hate it. I don't love it either. It's a B for me. Best quarterback in the draft. Drew went and got him. Is that where his needs were? Could he have added another running back at that pick? Yeah, there's a couple of guys available. I like it. Don't love it. Let's go to the 207. Pat, with our boy Cat Williams. Honestly, deep cut pick. Was in my top 10 of the wide receivers. Many people had him ranked as low as low as 15. But the draft capital's there. He was the 8th wide receiver off the board in this draft. To get him at the 207, which then makes him the 6th. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It makes him the 9th off the board. There's a little bit of value there. I think he's a talented player. I think coming out of Wazoo, there's a little bit, of weirdness with the competition there in the Pac-12 shifting, but we're going to give him an A- on this one. I think it's an excellent pick. And then we've got a tight end coming off the board at the 208 with Brian. Brian is going and staking his claim with the Jets tight end. He goes and gets the son of an elite all-time Hall of Fame NFL player. Mason Taylor from LSU. He's the third tight end drafted in the NFL. And likewise, he is the third tight end drafted in our draft. Brian maybe could have stacked up a little bit on some wide receiver depth, but this was a need, right? He's got Njoku. They may have drafted a replacement. He's got Gesicki. The career's starting to fade a little bit to where I don't think he's necessarily the same pass catcher that we saw coming out of Penn State's purgatory years. And so he gets a tight end. He fills that depth. Third tight end off the board in our draft. Third tight end off the board in the NFL draft. I like it. Good, solid pick. Safe play. Good play. Meets a need. B+ for me. Pat gets one again at the 209. And he's able to come back with a got to get to my right screen here. I believe, is that Ja'Cory Brooks? Is this who we're getting? I'm reading my notes from the draft, but that doesn't quite make sense here. Might have to come back to this pick. I see. It's Taj Brooks. That makes more sense. The T and the J were confusing. It's going back to my notes. He goes and gets a running back. Taj Brooks has an interesting profile. He does. Taj Brooks has the type of skill set that makes him interesting enough to take a flyer on. Now, if we're taking a flyer on someone, however, do you necessarily need them at the 209? Well, it depends on how many other picks or whatever that you may have left, right? I mean, do you have Pat's got the 307? Taj Brooks would have still been there. Be shocked if he wasn't. But he's a Texas Tech kid coming out of the Big 12, those kinds of offenses, landing in Cincinnati where there may be some opportunity. I can see the upside there. He's slow. He's not that big. It's a C from me. I don't love it. Pat had otherwise kind of been crushing the draft up until this point. But grabbing a dude that's 5'9", 215, that runs a 4.5, with maybe a chance to overtake Chase Brown. I don't know. Not buying it. Prove me wrong. I hope you prove me wrong, Pat. But yeah, I had him as my 20th best running back on the board. Oh, I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right. See. Through a trade, I finally get on the board here at the 210. And at the 210, I'm looking at a player that I've got ranked in my top 10 wide receivers. Okay, so at this point off the board, Ted Emeka, Travis Hunter, Luther Bird, Matthew Golden, Trey Harris, Jaden Higgins, Jack Besh, Kyle Williams have all gone. It's 10 wide receivers. So with the 11th wide receiver coming off the board, I go with adding to the CJ Stroud stack. Jalen Noel, talented player. I've got him as top 25 overall. I told you top 10 wide receivers, top 25 overall. And I am snagging him at pick 24 in the draft. Safe play. Doesn't necessarily fit a need, but based on what was available, decent value. We're going to give it a B, maybe a B plus. In hindsight, don't love it. Very safe. Kid's got some talent though. Let's go to the 211 with John. John goes and gets a tight end out of Oregon. A guy that can come into the Rams. We've seen some ups and downs with Rams tight end usage. He was the fourth tight end off the board, fourth tight end off in the NFL, fourth tight end off the board in our draft. I have him as the third best tight end. I actually had him ranked ahead of Mason Taylor in my personal rankings. And John had a need here. I like it. It's a good pick. I'm not super excited about Terrence Ferguson, but excited enough. And at the 211, man, if that hits, wow, you've got some value. You've got some value. B plus. Brian comes in at the 212 with Jalen Royals, Utah State kid. I have him as my 31st best overall. Got him in my top 20 wide receivers, but I'm not high on this kid. Landing spot in Kansas City is attractive. We've chased that before with Sky Moore. CEH. We've done that. This is like my discussion of the Pat pick with Tosh Brooks. Prove me wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't love this one. C plus. C plus. Talented player. Not great though. I don't love him. I don't love him. I think there's some weird redundancy in that offense at this point. I'm not. See if go to my notes real quick just about him because I hate shitting on anybody and then not having some sort of a substantiation to what I'm saying and in my research. And so for Jalen Royals, he's fast, not super fast, can play all the positions. My problem, yeah, he's like a 4.4 guy, which normally was like the gold standard, but now seems to be a little bit of an issue. Not raising the eyebrows as much. It's a 4.4 guy. I think my problem in the way that I rated him was just kind of the redundancy with Rashee Rice. But maybe the Chiefs know something that we don't related to that, in which case Jalen Royals just is off the charts. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Brian's right with this one. But then the last two picks, we go running back. We've got Tommy, again, just filling out depth, hitting Dylan Sampson. Got an opportunity there in Cleveland. I had him as my 13th best running back. Fine. Not great. Fine. C plus. Lordy, Devin Neal, New Orleans, kid out of Kansas, had some wheels. It's fun to watch. Same. C plus. I mean, at this point in the draft, you're hoping you hit. You're hoping there's some upside here. I think the value with Sampson and Neal is not really there. I think they're appropriate at the levels they're taking, but this is not a wow, look what I found at the end of the second round type of pick. Good picks. Fine. Not a reach, nothing that I would negatively criticize, but not necessarily picks that I would consider extracting a ton of value. And there may have been some people still on the board that could have allowed that value. But we'll have to deal with those in the third round. That was our second round wrap up. Enjoyed all of this. Say goodnight, Nikki. Good night, Nikki.
Thank you for listening to the official podcast of the Public Honors College Fantasy Football League. Cum quickly, cum often, and cum loud.